Hi, hello, good morning. Welcome to today's lesson. If you like my videos, please subscribe, like, and comment. Today I am going to teach NCERT Grade 10th Social Science under Economics, Chapter 3. In Chapter 3, I am going to explain today about money and credit. This is one of the important chapter in grade 10th under economics. In this money and credit, I am going to explain the following topics such as money as a medium of exchange. Second topic is about modern forms of money. Third topic is about loan activities of banks. And the next topic is about two different credit situations. And the last topic under this lesson is about terms of credit. Once again, all of you listen. The first topic is about money as a medium of exchange. Second topic is about modern forms of money. Third topic is about loan activities of banks. Fourth topic is about two different credit situations, and the last topic is about terms of credit. These are the topics which we are going to learn from this chapter, that is about money and credit. Let me explain the first subtopic, that is about money as a medium of exchange. We know very well that what is money. Money is something which can be used as a medium of exchange of goods and services. Money is anything which is widely accepted as payment for goods and services and repayment of debits such as taxes in a particular country. You know very well about the functions of money. In our day-to-day life, from dawn to dusk, we are involving in the many transactions. For each and every transaction, generally we can use the money as the medium of exchange. Without money we cannot involve in the transactions, that is purchasing of goods, vegetables, or many other day-to-day needs. So that is why here money is used as a medium of exchange for goods and services. The use of money spans a very large part of our everyday life. So in our day-to-day life, the money is playing an important role, because from dawn to dusk we are depending on the many goods and services. We are purchasing many goods and services from the outside. For all these transactions, generally we are depending on the money which we are using as the medium of exchange of goods and services. Several transactions involving money in any single day. In many of these transactions, goods are being bought and sold with the use of money. I think everybody knows that the value of money in our society. In our day-to-day life, all our activities are basically depending on the use of money. This money is one of the important mediator between the consumers and the producers, consumers and the traders, and producers and the traders. So like that, it is working as a mediator from one to another. That is the role of money in our day-to-day life. A person holding money can easily exchange it for any commodity or any service. So without money we cannot purchase anything from the market. We cannot get any kind of service from the markets. That is why all our needs are basically depending on the use of money. Example, shoe manufacturer wanted to sell shoes in the market and he wanted to buy wheat and other essential needs from the grocery. First he exchanged shoes with money, then exchanged the money for wheat. Because first he has to sell whatever the goods he made in the market, then he will get some amount, then after that whatever the amount he get from the market, then he will use for the purchasing of his day to day needs. Imagine in this case, if we do not use money, if money is not available in the society, in the country, or in the market for transactions, is it possible to sell our goods and is it possible to purchase the needs whatever we want? It is very difficult. Imagine how much more difficult it would be if the shoe manufacturer had to directly exchange shoes for wheat without the use of money. If money is not available, then the exchange of goods and services will be very difficult. That is why when money is introduced as the medium of exchange, all our transactions become easy. He would have to look for a wheat growing farmer who not only wants to sell wheat but also wants to buy shoes in the exchange. Means there were many problems in the exchange of goods and services without the use of money. If money is not available, if money is not using as the medium of exchange, then exchange of goods and services, that is purchasing of goods and selling of goods, will become very difficult. So before introducing the money as the medium of exchange, there was a system in the country, in the world. That system we can call it as the barter system. It is a trade system in which goods are exchanged without the use of money. We can call it as the barter system. In the olden days, when money was not introduced as medium of exchange, when money was not available, in the initial stages, people used to follow the barter system. In this barter system, people were directly exchanged the goods for goods. So this system was also known as the commodity for commodity or goods for goods. There were many disadvantages on the barter system. This barter system will success where there is a double coincidence of wants. Where there is a double coincidence of wants means, double coincidence of wants is nothing but the mutual exchange of goods and services is known as the double coincidence of wants. So wherever these double coincidence of wants are available, then this barter system will success. Otherwise, it takes many years of time to exchange the goods and to purchase the goods and services. In this barter system, both the parties, that is seller and buyer, have to agree to sell and buy each other goods. This is known as double coincidence of wants. These were the drawbacks in the barter system. And in the barter system, whatever the drawbacks were there, to avoid these drawbacks and disadvantages, money is introduced as the medium of exchange. We know very well how money is helping us to purchasing of goods or purchasing of services in our day-to-day life. Modern forms of money means at present we are using the currency notes and coins such as 2000 rupees note, then 500 rupees note, then 200 rupees note, 100 rupees note, 50 rupees note, 20 rupees, 10 rupees, and coins also, which we are using in our day to day life for exchange of goods and services. Before the introduction of the present currency notes, there were many other different forms of exchange are used for the exchange of goods and services. Before the introduction of coins, a variety of objects were used as money. In the early stages, after the barter system, the first stage, grains were used as medium of exchange. Not all kinds of grains, only few selected grains were used as medium of exchange of other goods and services. The best example, wheat. Then later that grains were replaced by some selected animals, that cattle, the best example, horses were used as medium of exchange for goods and services. This is the second stage. Then in the third stage, especially during the time of king's administration and emperor's administration, they used the metallic coins as the medium of exchange of goods and services. At that time, gold coins were introduced, silver coins were introduced, and copper coins were also introduced as the medium of exchange of goods and services. Then after the present, the currency notes were introduced in India for the exchange of goods and services. Modern forms of money include currency paper notes and coins, which we are using in our day-to-day transactions for exchange of goods and services. So whatever the present currency which we are using, coins which we are using in our country, these are widely accepted as a medium of exchange because the currency is authorized by the government of India. That is why everyone should accept our currency notes and coins as the medium of exchange of goods and services. In India, the Reserve Bank of India issues currency notes on behalf of the central government. Except 1 rupee note and 1 rupee coin, the remaining all other coins and currency notes were issued by the Reserve Bank of India. Only this current 1 rupee currency note and 1 rupee coin is issued by the, that is, government of India under the control of finance minister. Now RBI is the highest independent authority which is working in our country. The main responsibility of the Reserve Bank of India is issuing of currency notes such as 2000 rupees notes, 500 rupees notes, 200 rupees currency notes, 100 rupees, 50 rupees, 20 rupees, 10 rupees, and coins such as 10 rupees, 5 rupees, 2 rupees, all other currency notes and coins except 1 rupee coin and 1 rupee currency note issued by the Reserve Bank of India. Do you know where is RBI main headquarter located in India? The RBI headquarter is located in Mumbai. As per Indian law, no other individual or organization is allowed to issue currency. No individual in India can legally refuse a payment made in rupees. Hence, the rupee is widely accepted as a medium of exchange. Except RBI in India, no other organization is having the power to issue the currency notes and coins except 1 rupee in our country. And no individual can refuse the use of Indian currency for the transaction for the exchange of goods and services. If anyone can violate these rules, then they will be punished by the government according to the law. So that is why in recently we have seen number of fake currency notes. So those who are making the fake currency notes are, that is illegal process. If anyone is found that they are making the fake currency notes, will be punished very severely by the government according to the norms. Now the next concept, that is about deposits with banks. People deposit their excess money in the banks. Banks accept the deposits and also pay an amount as interest on the deposits. Especially people who are earning more income in a month and those expenditure is very less, that people can deposit their surplus amount in the banks for the long term or the for medium term or the for the short term. For that, banks will accept the deposits from the public, and whatever the deposits collected by the banks from the public, for that banks will pay some rate of interest to the public, that is a nominal rate of interest they will pay to the public, that is 6% or 7% or 8%, like that, which is less than the 7-8% only. That is different from bank to bank. Some banks will provide 8% of interest rate, some banks will provide 6% of interest rate, some banks will provide 4%. So like that, from bank to bank the rate of interest is different on the deposits. People have the provision to withdraw the money as and when they required, and whatever the deposits made by the public in the banks, they have the right to withdraw their amount at any time from the banks. Since the deposits in the bank accounts can be withdrawn on demand, these deposits are called demand deposits. Demand deposits are those deposits which can be withdrawn by the account holder at any time through the check or through the different other sources. We can call it as the demand deposits. Account holders can withdraw the amount through a check. So generally in olden days, people used to withdraw the amount from the banks through the check, but nowadays almost all the bank holders are utilizing the debit cards and many other different forms. A check is a paper instructing the bank to pay a specific amount from the person account to the person in whose name the check has been issued. Once again, let me explain. So in olden days, people used the checks to withdraw the amount from the banks. A check is a paper instructing the bank to pay a specific amount from the person's account to the person in whose name the check has been issued. We know very well in our day-to-day life, we are using checks to pay the amount to the others for the payment of current bills and the payment of many other bills. We are using the checks, means which we are using the check, which we are issuing the check to the others on the name of companies or the individuals. Then the person have the legal right to withdraw the amount from our account. So in this way, the checks are used to withdraw the amount. Loan activities of banks. Generally, every commercial bank has two kinds of functions. One is accepting deposits from the public, and second one is giving loans to the traders, business persons, farmers and many other individuals for their day-to-day needs and the business purposes. These activities can be broadly divided into two major categories. The first function of every commercial bank is accepting deposits from the public. Whatever the deposits accepted from the public, thus the bank will pay low rate of interest, that is less than 8%. Just now already I have explained the rate of interest on the deposits is different from bank to bank. Some banks will pay the 8% of interest, some banks will pay 7%, some banks will pay 6%. Like that, the rate of interest is uneven and unequal. And whatever the amount collected through deposits from the public, then the banks will keep 15% that amount as cash reserve, and the remaining 85% amount they will give as loans to the farmers, business persons, traders, and other individuals. And whatever the loans are given to the others from them, every bank will collect the high rate of interest, that is more than 12%. This is also different from bank to bank. Example, if we take home loan, for home loan banks will collect 8 to 10%. From the personal loans banks will collect 16% to 24%. So like that, based on the loan, the rate of interest is different. So like that, from the public the banks will collect more rate of interest, and they will pay very low rate of interest to the deposit account holders. In this way, every bank will get some profit. Let me explain how the banks will get profit from accepting deposits and giving loans to the public. Example, we can take the commercial banks. So there are many banks in our country. These banks can be broadly divided into public sector banks and the private sector banks. SBI is the best example under the public sector, and Axis Bank, HDFC Bank, like these are comes under the private banks. All these banks main function is, one is accepting deposits from the public, second is giving loans to the traders and the business persons. In this way, whatever the deposits they collected from the public, they will pay 7% or 8% or 6%, like that. It is different from bank to bank. And whatever the amount they collected from the public, they will give as loans to the others, as personal loan or the business loan or agricultural loan or the gold loan, or on the different ways. And from them they will collect the huge rate of interest, that is more than 12%. In this way, the banks will get the profit. So they will collect 12% from the public, and they will pay 7% interest rate to the deposit holders. Thus they will get profit, the difference between the loans rate of interest and the deposits of rate of interest. Now let me explain about two different credit situations in our country. Credit is nothing but loan, refers to an agreement in which the lender supplies the borrower with money, goods, or services in return for the promise of future payment. Generally, the banks are providing loans to the public in different ways. Home loans by taking some security from the public, individual loans by taking some security from the individuals, and agricultural loans by taking some collateral from the farmers. Like that, banks, commercial banks are providing different kinds of loans to the public, and for that the banks are taking some assurance, that is security from the public, because the security will give some assurance to the banks, that is the repayment of loans in future. If any individual or any organization or any trader is unable to pay the amount in return, then the bank has the legal right to occupy their assets or their security, bonds or any other securities, whatever they produced in the bank. Now let me explain about terms of credit. Every loan agreement specifies an interest rate which the borrower must pay to the lender along with the repayment of the principal. When the banks are giving loans to the public, then the borrower has to sign on the agreement, that is the agreement between the bank and a borrower. According to the agreement, means on the agreement every rule is clearly mentioned, that what rate of interest they are going to collect, in how many months the borrower has to repay the amount, like every information is very clearly mentioned. Then if both has to follow these agreements rules and conditions, if anyone will violate then they will be punished by the RBI and the local courts. In addition, lenders may demand collateral against the loans. Means the banks have the right to take the security from the public when they are giving loans to the public. So without security, it is very difficult to give the loans to the public in different ways. If the borrower fails to repay the loan, the lender has the right to sell the asset. Whatever the securities they provided, that securities are the full rights will come to the banks and the owners of the money lenders. Interest rate, collateral and documentation required and the mode of repayment together comprise what is called the terms of credit. Terms of credit is nothing but an agreement between the bank and the borrower. Both have to follow the terms and conditions. This we can call it as the terms of credit. Now let me explain the types of loans. Generally, loans can be divided into two major categories. They are formal sector loans and the second is informal sector loans. The loans which are provided by all kinds of commercial banks and cooperative banks, we can call it as the formal sector loans. And the loans which are provided by the money lenders, traders, business persons and employers and individuals are called comes under the informal sector loans. Once again let me explain. There are two kinds of loans. One is the formal sector loans, second is informal sector loans. Formal sector loans means the loans which are provided by all kinds of commercial banks under public sector and the private sector and cooperative banks are comes under the formal sector loans. Informal sector loans means the loans which are provided by the traders, business persons and friends and many others are comes under the informal sector loans. So we have to understand here the difference between formal sector loans and the informal sector loans are formal sector loans are provided by the banks with low rate of interest, but the informal sector loans are provided by the individuals or organizations and they will collect to huge rate of interest. All types of commercial banks and the cooperatives are comes under the formal sector loans. Then money lenders, traders, employers, relatives and friends are comes under the informal sector loans. If we see in India, 25% commercial loans are from the commercial banks and 27% of loans are from the cooperative societies. It is very clear from this figure we are able to see 25% commercial banks and 27% is from the cooperative societies. And the remaining loans, the highest loans that is 30% are from the informal sector, that is from the money lenders, and 1% of loans from the landlords, 3% of loans from the traders, 7% of loans from the relatives and friends, and the remaining 7% of loans from the others. Which means here we can understand near about 50% of loans are the informal sector and the remaining are from the formal sector. From the informal sector, whatever the loans if we get, then we have to pay more rate of interest, but for the formal sector loans we have to pay less rate of interest, that is to the commercial banks. The RBI supervises the functioning of formal sources of loans. Every commercial bank is working under the control of Reserve Bank of India. Both public sector banks and the private sector banks are supervised by the Reserve Bank of India. According to the Reserve Bank of India guidelines only, these public sector and the private sector banks are functioning in the country. RBI sees that the banks give loans not just to profit making businesses and traders, but also to small cultivators, small scale industries, and to small borrowers. Here, according to the Reserve Bank of India guidelines, every commercial bank is working not only for the profit making but also for the all round development of the society, individuals, organizations, and the economy. That is why commercial banks are providing different kinds of loans to the public. In some cases they are collecting less rate of interest, and in some cases they are collecting huge rate of interest. So in this way, one side the main motto of the commercial banks is welfare of the people, development of the country, development of the individuals and organizations, and the second side is about the profit making. These are the two main motives of the commercial banks. There is no organization which supervises the credit activities of money lenders in the informal sector. We know very well that just now we have discussed informal sector consists money lenders, landlords, traders, business persons, friends, relatives, employers, all are a part of the informal sector, and there is no specific organization which can control all these informal sector agencies and the organizations. That is why these people and organizations are collecting huge rate of interest from the public. Sometimes when the public is unable to repay the loans, then they are forcefully taking their assets. So these incidents were happening still in our country, in the especially in the rural areas, because in the rural areas the farmers and landless laborers, they are unable to get the loans from the banks. Thus they are basically depending on the money lenders, and money lenders are giving loans and they are collecting huge rate of interest. If crops fail due to the natural calamities, when they are unable to pay the loans to the money lenders, thus they are taking their properties and assets forcefully from the borrowers. They can lend at whatever interest rate they choose. They charge high rate of interest on the loans. If we see from the following graph, we can understand. In the poor households, 85% of loans are from the money lenders, that is informal sector, and only 15% of the poor households are taking loans from the commercial banks. And whereas in the households with few assets, 53% of the households, they are taking loans from the informal sector, that is from the traders, money lenders, business persons, and landlords, and the remaining 47% of loans they are taking from the commercial banks. And well off households, well educated and well knowledge people, they are taking loans from the 72% of loans from the commercial banks, and 28% of people, they are taking loans from the money lenders and the informal sector. And rich households, they are well educated and they knows very well about the differences between the informal sector and the formal sector. That is why most of the loans they are taking from the commercial banks, that is from the formal sector loans, and very less percent, that is 10%, they are taking from the informal sector. And at last, let me explain about the self-help groups for the poor, SHGs. In rural areas, the government is introduced these self-help groups and helping to these groups by providing loans at very low rates of interest and sometimes with zero rate of interest. So let me explain about what is SHG, self-help group. A typical SHG has 15 to 20 members, usually belonging to one neighborhood, who meet and save regularly. So whatever the savings from these groups members, these members can take small loans from the group itself to meet their needs. If any person from the group is unable to meet their day-to-day needs, thus they will take a small loan from the SHG self-help group and they will pay the amount in EMI wise, then with a less rate of interest. So thus the members are helping to the other members for their day-to-day needs. That is why these self-help groups are spread in the rural areas. Even the government banks are also helping for the all-round development of these SHGs. SHGs help borrowers overcome the problem of lack of collateral. They can get timely loans for a variety of purposes and at a reasonable interest. They will collect very less rate of interest and they will help to the other members for their all-round development. Thank you for watching this video. If you like my videos, please subscribe, comment. Thank you.